Hello, all. Welcome to this insightful session on SAP BTP CAP, building purposeful innovation with SAP CAP. So, myself, Uday Joshi, I am SME and tech enthusiast from Globant. We have other speakers, Trushit Patel, our SAP full stack developer and AI expert. Then we have Rahul Mehta, our BTP and CAP expert. So, we'll move to agenda now. Yeah, okay. So, today we will be covering the introduction part by myself. Then we will look at where is the industry heading towards. Then we will see the features of CAP and its benefits. And at the end, we will cover the CAP in action at Globant, where we would be talking about the actual project work that we have done. Okay. Now, so in the recent time, there is a lot of buzz about this SAP cloud platform and all the other cloud platforms which are there in the industry. And SAP also has given a wide range of products in this space. And for this is for few, it's just a marketing gimmick. For some, it's a new opportunity for learning. But for some, it's a overburden on their existing work which at all is not involving the cloud. So uh, there's a lot of things going on about it, but one thing we must admit that sometimes it is little scary for the existing developers and SAP consultants to talk about this change. So let's have a look at the SAP's history, starting from R2 developed for mainframe in 1979 to SAP ECC built on SAP NetWeaver, which was for catering to the internet boom in 2004, to SAP S4 HANA Cloud released in 2021. This also continues to till date, where SAP has come up with SAP Joule Studio to take into account the Gen AI power, just which is recently launched in July 2025 itself. Okay. Apart from the core ERP, SAP also has a lot of products which helps for the customer needs, like business intelligence, or SAP WebDin Pro, or EWM. Okay, so the we should not be bogged down by all these changes, because SAP has evolved as per as the technology changes, as per the customer's requirement are changes, and that has made SAP the market leader that it is. So we should also embrace the changes that have come up and get it benefited for us as well as for the our customers. uh, for I've been into SAP for more than 2 decades, and I have been part of some of this transition myself, so I can very well say that it's possible for us to get adapted to the SAP's new techniques. Okay. I have seen myself that when the BW came up, there were SAP ABAPers who transitions upgrade themselves to BW, and then they become the BW consultants. Similarly, ABAPers were the ones who moved to SAP Portal, or there were SAP SD consultant who moved to SAP CRM, or the MM consultant adapting to EWM. So these are a lot of examples which are already there, and we can always take a inspiration from that. uh, just one fun fact. I don't know if any of one of you, if you remember, the current the new syntax talks about something called as inline declaration, But way back when we had SAP R3 4.6c version, there was something called as type any, which was something similar, obviously not exactly like what we have as an inline declaration. And SAP has uh, can kind of banned it not to use it, okay, because of some limitations of it. But now it is SAP who recommends to use it in the new syntax. So it's always a journey where you have to learn new things, sometimes you have to unlearn as well. So let's see now how we can do that. This session we will tell you about various technical aspects of cap, and where in the SAP cloud solution this cap fits in. With that information, based on your interest and the immediate requirement of your project or client or organization, you can get started your journey with cap in that particular area. Okay, so moving on, let's now talk about innovation. You may have noticed many of the SAP clients are still not even gone to S4 HANA. And if they have to move to cloud, it will be a big leap for them. And with the current pace which the world is moving, we have to move fast and we have to implement these things in a relatively shorter duration of time. So that the traditional way where how we used to do the things would not be that effective, so we have to go for innovation. When we talk about innovation, uh, let's see, if to foster innovation, what are the features we should look into a framework. So the first thing would be the framework should complement the existing solution. That will allow to bring small and cumulative changes in our existing solution, which would lead to incremental sustainable innovation. Then next, it should have easy integration with the multiple components that will allow reconfiguration. So these components are already existing, only thing is we rearrange them in a different order through this new framework, and with that you would do the improvement, and that would lead to the architectural innovation. The next is the framework should be capable to build new independent processes, okay, that will allow implementation of any significantly improved method. That way this would lead to the process innovation. Last and most important, the framework, if it supports AI, it will allow us to build a completely new solution, which will give a complete value, new value proposition for us, and that would lead to the disruptive innovation. And now, in the upcoming slides, you would get the technical insight on CAP, where you will be able to correlate how it fits into this innovation aspects we have discussed just now. Okay, so now I'll hand it over to Trushit to discuss the technical part of the CAP.
Thanks a lot, Uday, for the history of SAP and the innovation. So I'll be taking forward this ahead. Okay, so now that we have seen about all these, we have understood one thing that SAP has evolved in IT industry over the decades, and with that, users and consumers have also adapted to what SAP has evolved into. Correct? But this time, there are so many changes happening in the development suite as well, and specific to which we will discuss how developers have to adapt, or how developers have to back skills to be relevant in this ever changing landscape. Now one must understand in which direction the industry is heading towards, especially for developers, in order for us to be stay relevant, right? So let me walk you through where our focus should be in order to stay aligned with the vision of SAP in development world. So we will be discussing about cap as well. So the first thing is full stack application development. You must be hearing this word a lot these days. And nowadays, not only SAP but all the IT industry wants you to be full stack developer. You cannot be just a front end guy or just a back end guy. If you are a back end guy, you will have to learn front end, database, authentication, and all the parts of it. After that comes the connectivity, and this is one of the most crucial thing when it comes to ERP, because in ERP the actual business itself is the most crucial thing. So you will have to connect your full stack application to this ERP system, ultimately to fetch the business data. uh, Now remaining three we will be discussing. So the first one is artificial intelligence, and this is one of the talk of the towns, right? And there are two things I would like to discuss when I talk about AI, because there are two main aspects. One is embedding AI in the actual business process itself so that our clients can benefit from it. And another one is for developers, which we will be discussing now. So, as a developer, you will have to equip yourself with all the AI tools that are available in the market, which can help you and your development journey so that your development become faster, more efficient, and smoother. um, Next is the innovation in the architecture itself. So there are two things: one is microservice architecture and another one is the event driven architecture. And new hype of having this event driven architecture is not unheard of these days, right? You must have stumbled upon these two words, and they are not just nice to have skills, they are becoming more and more mandatory skills. So what is basically meant by these two terms? So think in a conventional way. You write a program that is, let's say, 20,000 lines of code, and let me tell you, it is not at all sustainable, right? So what you do generally, you make it modularize, correct? You make different functions or you make API calls which takes care of one particular task. So in essence, this is the microservice architecture. What you do, you take a snippet of code, run it as a service which is responsible to complete one task. That is microservice architecture. But there is still some dependency. Someone has to call it so that it performs its job and then returns the response. What if we have something which uh, makes them listen to events? So one task would emit some event. If it is relevant for another service, it would listen to it and perform its job, and once done, it will emit another job. Similarly, the whole architecture works this way. This gives immense power to the architecture, because this way your architecture would become self-sufficient and resilient. But now, from a ABAPer perspective, you might wonder why this does not look at all like ABAP. If you remember Uday saying that the ABAPers were the one who adapted to all the changes from R2 to R3 to ECC and S4, I'm sure uh, we can easily upgrade ourselves to CAP and the cloud. So now that we have understood the vision of SAP industry, where it is heading towards, where the IT industry is heading toward, let us equip ourselves with the latest framework of SAP that has all this capability, and that is nothing but the CAP. So let's discuss about CAP, its feature, and the benefits. Okay, so first of all, CAP. Mm, just like any other framework out there in the market, which is full stack, CAP also has a few components that you must know before diving deep into it. Correct? So the first one being the database. You need to have persistent storage, so you need database. We just need to acquaint ourselves with this terminology, that DB, SRV, and app, because they are used in CAP by default. So DB is where you store your actual data. The next is SRV. This is where you write your business logic. You need a fancy user interface, so you need to write front end in app. Correct? Now we have to remember that we are developing application for business, and business wants application to be secure, that can be easily handled with authorization and authentication mechanism, and these all things are available in CAP. uh, you club all these components, and your CAP application is ready to be deployed on cloud. It's just like that. What we have achieved so far here is developing a full stack application that is cloud native and clean core compliant, with the latest technology that SAP has to offer. I almost forgot about CLI. As an ABAPer, you might not have heard about CLI, right? It is nothing but a terminal in which you write a command. So that's that. You that is a very powerful tool, and I recommend to learn it. And you might wonder where exactly you can do all this, right? There has to be an IDE, integrated development environment. So SAP has provided Business Application Studio, which is more or less similar to VS Code. So that comes with a lot of out of the box features that integrates with SAP easily. Mm, Now that we have understood all the components of CAP, let's deep dive in how different components play part in the overall architecture or overall big picture. We will also see where individual developer fit based on their traditional role as well. Uh, okay, so as we mentioned, we you need persistent storage. So CAP support it in as a DB folder where you write your schema and everything in CDS language. It is very easy to learn, and it is one of the great feature to have in CAP, because you write one thing and it will deploy in different types of databases. So that's a real powerful uh, uh, component of CAP. uh, the next thing is business logic. This is where you write your actual business logic, correct? There are two flavors. One is Node.js, another one is Java. If you want to integrate AI into your application, this is the place where you fit AI. If you want to connect with the actual business data which resides in S4 HANA system, maybe on premise, on cloud, you can connect via external APIs. If you want to connect with any other service that BTP is offering, that also you can connect. Now, the main thing for end user, that is presentation layer, where they see some UI, user interface, and they interact with it. SAP CAP recommends to use a Fiori development. So this is where Fiori developer would fit. And the last one is authentication and authorization. So this is where actually a cloud admin would fit, or as a developer you will have to write some code that will ultimately get translated into authentication and authorization. Uh, Now let's understand some basic key features and their benefits that CAP has to offer. So we have discussed multiple times, right, that uh, industry wants you to become the full stack developer. So CAP natively supports full stack development. So it goes without saying that it has capability to work with front end, back end, and database. So even if you're coming from non-SAP background, CAP has something in store for you. So that we will see in detail. So the first thing is front end, right? So let's say you are a pro coder. So you would go for UI5 freestyle. If you are just a backend guy who does not know anything about front end, there is something called as Fiori Elements template, which work directly with backend metadata without writing a single line of code. You just click, 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 and it will start working. And as I mentioned, if you are from non-SAP, uh, uh, you can work with React front end or any other UI of your choice. You can bring your own UI, and CAP will support it. Now the second part is backend. Backend comes in two flavors, as we have discussed. One is Java and another one is Node.js. So with Java there is a framework called Bootspring, and for Node.js there is a framework called Express. So with that, it will you will implement your code of backend in these two languages. And the last one is database. It CAP supports all kind of databases, but it recommends that you use HANA on cloud for productive environment. Okay, so the next one is plug and play, or we call it plugins. I love this feature the most, as plugins work and integrate with your code seamlessly. There are so many plugins available, they are readily available, and all you have to do is just write one line of code, and the front end, back end, database, and everything will start working from that particular plugin. So I love this part the most. To give you some background, CAP by default exposes data in OData version 4 format. But if there is a business requirement and you want to work with version 2 of OData, there is OData V2 adapter available. If you want to work with two-way communication, you can simply use WebSocket plugins. If you want to work with attachment and storage of PDFs or any kind of data, so attachment and DMS plugins are also available. You will not have to manually configure all these things. So there are many such plugins. Once you start learning about CAP, once you go in detail, you will learn more about these plugins. Then there is scalability. And scalability is a great feature and it is inherently provided since CAP itself is hosted on cloud, right? So that is the feature of cloud. But when I say about scalability in CAP, I mean two things. Scalability not only in traditional way on cloud, but also the framework itself is scalable for development journey. Now, how is it? So there is a concept called as grow as you go. So when you start learning CAP, like as a developer, and you can start from day one, and as and when requirement becomes clearer or more complex, or you learn about more features of CAP, you can incorporate those changes without having to scrap old developments. The framework itself will make sure that the changes you are doing are auto reflected at database level, service level, and presentation layer. And even if you change one database, it will auto deploy it. For example, when you are developing, you might use a, CSV SQL locally, right? But when you go to production, or once your development is at that stage where you can demonstrate something, at that time you can use HANA on cloud, that too without writing much line of codes. And there are many features that scalability has to offer. The next one is rapid development. This is very important when it comes to innovation and completing proof of concepts for clients, because they don't want to wait for months to just complete the prototyping phase, right? So you need to have boilerplate as fast as possible, and CAP provides you just that with the help of Business Application Studio, that is the IDE, and with the CDS. You can model your database as fast as you can with CDS, and then it auto deploys at database level. It auto creates business services and front end for you, front end with Fury elements out of the box. So even if you do not have any knowledge about front end, it will create based on what you have designed in CDS. So that is the beauty of CAP. The next one is connectivity. As we mentioned like few slides back, that this is one of the most important concept, especially for ERP, because in ERP actual data resides in the S4 system, correct? So CAP natively supports integration with this, and this integration should be configurable as well, right? Because if you're familiar with SAP landscape, there is something called as development server, quality server, and the production server. So when this changes, the endpoint would also change. Similarly, it goes for third party integration. So it should be configurable, and BTP destination handles or takes care of that. Now, to integrate with non SAP or all the services that SAP BTP is providing, CAP has something called as SDK development kit. So and that easily integrate with all of this. And last but not the least is open source. So here with CAP you get goods of both the worlds. So the Business Application Studio with SDK, you get goods from the SAP side. But if something is developed by community, by other fellow developer, and if they make it public, you can also make use of that in your programming. So this is open source as well. So we benefit from the community as well. For example, if somebody develops a plugin and they publish it on GitHub or somewhere, you can make use of it and you can integrate in your code, and it will start working. So that is the power of CAP framework. There are so many features available, so many benefits, but with respecting the time in mind, we are discussing only this many. Now, since we have discussed all this, you might want to see something in action as well, right? So over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Trushit. So, as Trushit and Uday have already explained technical architecture, key feature, key benefit, and all the component involved in SAP CAP framework. Now, let's see how we can use SAP CAP in our real world scenario. Yeah, today I'm so excited to walk you through one of our automation for agro project we have implemented at Globant. Here, we are leveraging SAP CAP and SAP BTP to streamline and modernize the solution. This transformation helped us move from scattered manual process to centralized, scalable, and secure architecture. So yeah, here you can see previously it was all a manual process. So it was a mix of small and disconnected tools. And also there was no any unified front end. So user had to switch between system and screens. So what it did, this resulted in a lot of inefficiencies, duplicate effort, and a lack of control over data and access. So it was a very lengthy and time-taking process. So I'll explain each step in detail. So it is a five-step manual process. So first one would be user had to open first S4 HANA and get one invoice number. Then second, he has to visit the client portal and he has to place the invoice detail and all the other details relevant to invoice. Then a PDF will be generated. In third step, he has to download the PDF in locally in his computer. And in fourth step, he had to visit another client portal. There he has to upload that PDF manually, and automatically an ID will be generated. So in that fifth and final process, so he has to place that id to in s4 hana in one of the custom developed abap report. So as you can see, this is a long process and it was taking around 30 minutes of users time. Imagine daily doing this 30 minutes for so many time in the whole day. Sounds tedious, right? So for that, to solve all the challenges, we proposed an completely cloud native solution built on SAP BTP using CAP as the foundation. How you might say? So we have used CAP as backend. So it will build a modular and maintainable microservice. We have created six separate small CAP application. Each is designed to do small tasks. Also, we have used SAP UI5 to build an user-friendly interface with seamless user experience. Now we have used SAP BTP DMS. So DMS means document management service. So it is a one kind of service of BTP. So it simplifies access and improves the lifestyle of document. So now the document is stored completely in cloud. So it can be accessed everywhere. So it is now solving that issue of storing the document in locally. Also, for security, we have used Access UA. Access UA, it means access user authentication and authorization for role-based access, enabling robust authorization for each application and service. So now application is completely secured. Now we are integrating SOAP API, REST API, and S4HANA OData in CAP with the help of BTP Destination Service, Connectivity Service, SAP CPI, Cloud Platform Integration, and Cloud Connector. Also, we have used SAP HANA Cloud. So it is an in-cloud database offered by SAP BTP to store user-centric and transactional data. So now database is also in the cloud. So what's the outcome? One might wonder, right? So we have achieved up to 80% of reduction in manual effort. So previously it used to take half an hour. So now with just few minutes and just few clicks, user are able to get all the work done. Entire solution is now cloud native. So it can be easily scaled horizontally and vertically based on the application requirement. And now integration is seamless. So it can be secure, real time with the help of SAP CPI and Cloud Connector. Also, all the application are now controlled centrally. So they have to just look at just one dashboard. Now we have understood all of what the project requirement was. So now let's take a deep dive into our technical architecture and to see how we made all of this work. Yeah. So this is our end-to-end architecture of our project. We have built it on SAP BTP. And as you can see, there are mainly three layers. So first one is SAP BTP, second is on-premise, and the third and final is API layer. So I will explain each in detail. So at the top, you see we have global sub account, global account. So what global account represent is, it represent an entry level of enterprise level in SAP BTP. So under global account, we have three sub account. So each sub account is used for different purpose. So one is for development, one is for quality, and one is for production. Inside sub account, we have created six separate cap based microservice. I have explained about microservice, right? So we have come to conclusion that it will require six cap based service. Each is equipped with different function. So that I will explain in the following slide. But all the cap application are hosted in just one sub account. Then on the right, we have SAP on-premise. So on-premise, we have developed S4HANA OData service to get the invoice data, store it, and then pass it to the front end with the help of Cloud Connector and connectivity. So we are securely passing the data, so there is no any issue of data leak or data privacy breach. Also, we are using here API management. So API management acts as a bridge between on-premise and BTP. So it connects both the layer, offering a secure tunnel. Now, the third and final layer is API layer. So thanks to this layer, we are able to do integration seamlessly. And with the help of CPI, Cloud Platform Integration, all that is authorization related like API token, user management, password management, authorization, all of it is done in a very easily and a straightforward way. So yeah, let me explain you each of our application in detail and how what is the actual functionality and how it is connecting to all the uh, dots. So first application here you can see is monitor core. So monitor COE is nothing but it gets the data from S4 HANA OData service, which I just mentioned, and it stores it internally in HANA Cloud. So now that data is stored in HANA Cloud, it is been accessed across all the CAP application. And this we are able to do it with the help of connectivity and cloud connector. So and separate cloud connector is configured in S4 HANA, which and in BTP through connectivity service, we are able to get the data. Then the second application. So this is customer PDF extractor. So it works with SAP BTP DMS, so document management service, to generate, retrieve, and securely store PDF. So PDF are right now stored in cloud, and this is replacing the previous manual process which user had to do. They had to store it each time locally, and nobody can access it apart from that user. Yeah. Then the third application is App Stop. So this app is fully integrated with external SOAP APIs with the help of CPI. So here we are pulling the data from legacy system to and store it in our HANA cloud so we can access it in real time. Then on fourth application is bill of landing. So this application is integrated with one of the REST API, and as the name suggests, it involved in fetching and validating of system generated bill. So this application is completely automated. So now validating part of bill is bit tedious and it takes so much manual effort, but through our doc service of BTP, we are able to do it in a completely automated way, and it is right now saving so much of user time. Now, fifth application, quota. So this is kind of an integration hub. So it usually connects all the service which are required to run the application from BTP with the help of API management, and data is getting passed from to and fro from the application. Now, final one is monitor price. So it is connected to all the other nodes. So here we are using cross container concept of SAP CAP. So what is cross container, one might ask, right? So cross container is nothing but to use the HANA cloud container of one CAP application into another CAP application. So here we have six application, right? So in this final application, we are able to add all the data from the file and we are able to consume it. Also we are consuming the OData service, DMS, and all the other part. So this is kind of an analytical application. So it usually build the report which is being accessed by stakeholder, which help them to take decision effectively. So through this through this complete architecture, we are able to automate almost all the process, and so with just few clicks, user is able to do all the task. To summarize this architecture has enabled our project to operate with efficiency, security, and scalability. So it is now resilient to future growth. Yeah, this marks at end of our presentation. So before concluding our presentation on SAP CAP, I would like to add few remarks. So at Globant, we always thrive to stay on top of technology. SAP BTP CAP is just one of the key framework we use to deliver to our client. In addition to this, we are already exploring other capabilities of BTP such as Event Mesh, Integration Suite, SAP Joule to build comprehensive, scalable, and intelligent solution. Also, we are predominantly focusing to use artificial intelligence AI in our existing client project and global accelerators. So Globant is always staying ahead of the market, and it I'm feeling so much proud to announce that Globant is a proud partner of SAP App House Network, which facilitates the co-creation of innovation solution by putting the human experience first. Thank you, everyone.